It may come as no shock that many of Disney's animated classics portray exaggerated, inaccurate, and even harmful stereotypes about women. Some of these gender stereotypes can be blamed in part on the source material. Most of Disney's animated films are based on fairy tales that were written by men in a time where attitudes towards women were much different than they are today. However, this does not excuse Disney's negligence towards how women are represented and portrayed in their films. This disregard for stereotypical representation is especially harmful when you consider that Disney's target audience has historically been impressionable children, teens, and young adults. Take Disney's 1959 Sleeping Beauty, for example. Despite the princess holding the lead role and the picture essentially being named after her, Aurora only has 18 lines of dialogue within 18 minutes of screen time in the film's 76-minute run. Not even after Sleeping Beauty is woken up by true love's kiss does she utter a word of dialogue. Aurora's role in the film is extremely passive. The evil Maleficent curses her, the good fairy takes her to a cottage to hide, and the prince finds her singing in the woods. The fairies then force her to never see him again, and then take her back to the castle, where Maleficent puts Aurora under a zombie-like spell to have her prick her finger. And finally, the prince comes to her rescue at the end. Aurora has absolutely no power over anything that happens to her throughout the entire film. Cinderella, which was released 9 years prior to Sleeping Beauty, has a very similar situation. While Cinderella certainly has more dialogue and screen time, she also has a very passive role in the events that happen to her. Most of what happens in Cinderella's story is with the help of either her fairy godmother or her animal friends. In fact, when Cinderella does make any small effort to change her fate, she's met with failure and confrontation from her stepmother or her stepsisters. The many passive princess characters that Disney's early films portray give the connotation that little to no power or control over their lives and are dependent on the help of others to get anything done. Disney princesses of the early 90s, also known as Disney's Renaissance period, are almost without a doubt less problematic than their predecessors. However, they're not devoid of their own harmful connotations. For instance, The Little Mermaid's Princess Ariel has a much more active role in her film. However, she is only motivated to go after her dream of walking on land when she falls in love with a human man that she's never formally met or had any conversation with. This sequence of events implies that Ariel needed a man to push her towards the dreams that she already had. This could continue to send the message to young girls that they should stand by and wait on going after their dreams until Prince Charming comes along to sweep them off their feet. Or Finn's in Ariel's case. In recent years, Disney seems to be making an effort towards creating more empowering female characters in their animated films. Perhaps the best example of this is Disney Pixar's 2012 release of Brave. The plot revolves around a Scottish princess named Merida wanting autonomy and control over her own fate rather than being forced into dutiful marriage. Brave is also one of the very few Disney princess films that doesn't involve a love interest for its main character. Most Disney films that feature women who are seemingly strong, independent, and empowered still rely on giving the female lead a male love interest. This tends to imply that even the most independent women need a man in their lives to live happily ever after. The studio has even gone meta, including self-aware plot points and dialogue in some of their recent releases.
Fine. You can't marry a man you just met.
If you wear a dress and you have an animal sidekick, you're a princess.
Come and roll your sleeves up, so to speak, in pitching. Cleaning crud up in the kitchen as we sing along.
While Walt Disney Animation Studios has made great strides in representing women over the past 30 years, there's still room for improvement. It can be argued that Disney's audience needs more female characters who don't end up having a love interest by the end of the film, and who have complete autonomy, agency, and control over their destiny. A solution to this could be implementing more creative desires, motivations, and conflicts for its female leads. With the studio's young and impressionable audience, close attention should be paid to how women are portrayed in their films. Disney's generally a trusted brand for parents and families, but this trust may begin to fade as audiences become more aware of the lack of accurate and empowering representation in the studio's releases. If Disney wants to retain or grow their audience, it's important that the studio accepts responsibility for the immense influence it has over American culture, as well as cultures worldwide.